Hello and welcome to the Ars Electronica Center here in Linz, Austria. Welcome to our press conference and media information about the winners of this year's Prix Ars Electronica. As you might know, Prix Ars Electronica is the oldest and also the biggest competition for digital art. It was actually founded in 1987, and the very spectacular element at this point was this very reason that the competition from the very beginning was only dedicated to artists working with computer, with digital media. And this, of course, since then has remained our main focus. This is what we are specifically looking at. The Prix Ars Electronica in these 35 years since 1987 has gathered a huge amount of wonderful projects. When you look at the list of the prize winners in all these decades, it's really like the who is who of digital art and culture. And what you see here is a very nice attempt to try to put up little images, little mosaics from all the more than 7,000 projects that have been awarded in this period of time. But of course, this is history, and now we are going to our activities for this year, to the prize winners. And let me first introduce you to the categories that we have been hosting this year. You might know that since several years already, due to the very high number of submissions, we started to biannually flip categories. And this year we have, of course, again, the computer animation, which is the oldest category, Interactive Plus. The plus is a very important part in this title because it refers to the ever-growing diversity and all these different new trends and directions that are constantly coming up in this area. We have the category for digital communities. We have our U19 Create Your World category. And this year also we are giving away another Golden Nica for Visionary Pioneers of Media Art. And last but not least, this year also for the second time, we give away the award for Digital Humanity, a collaboration with the Austrian Ministry for Foreign Affairs. 2,338 submissions from 88 countries arrived this year for the Prix Ars Electronica. And this year we were super happy that again we could invite all the jury members to come here to Linz, work with us for 3 days to go through all these projects and single out the most exciting projects. You see here this wonderful equipe of experts from all over the world. And without any further ado, let's see what they came up with. What are the projects that they deemed to be valuable for Golden Nicas and honorary mentions and distinctions and all these great prizes of Prix Ars Electronica. We start with computer animation, and it's my pleasure to introduce Jürgen Hagler, who is also the head of the Computer Animation Festival of Ars Electronica and almost the pioneer himself in this field. Please, Jürgen.
Oh, thank you, Gerfried. Pioneer, wow. I would not say so. It's a great pleasure to introduce the winner projects of this year's category, computer animation. I would also like to emphasize the fact that it's a great pleasure that we have, after 2 years discussing online, this great possibility to invite the jury members to Linz again. This year we had invited again various experts in this field of expanded animation, computer animation at this intersection of media art. We had people that are involved in Ars Electronica since year, for instance, Director Ars or Peter Burr, but also people that are upcoming artists like Rebecca Merlich or Isabelle Avrev, and also Helen Starr. She was on jury already a year before. So I will give you an overview of the honorary mentions. In the next slide, you see images of each project. The 12 honorary mentions are a great selection of, or give a great impression of the overall submissions in the category computer animation. As it's an ongoing discussion, what is computer animation in this field of media art? Of course, there is a huge evolution. So when we started, or when the experts started many years ago with this question, what is computer animation in this context of media art, it was maybe quite clear what is computer animation, but after so many years, decades, we have a kind of a tectonic shift. So, of course, there are still narrative short films that are screened on screens, but we also have a lot of great new formats in this field of expanded animation, site-specific projects, interactive animations, reactive animations, but also, and this is quite an interesting trend we observed, a lot of projects in this intersection of game and animation. So on the one hand, there is of course a great, or the boundaries between the tools for animation and games are blurring. So the basis is the same. A lot of projects are produced with game engines, but on the other hand, there are various new formats in this field of playful animations with scripted narratives, interactive storytelling. Of course, these are not new topics, but new ideas are always welcome when we see this in this submissions at the animation category. I will just highlight 3 projects. On the one hand, Alex Verhurst's piece Ad Hominem is a point-and-click animation adventure where you can slip into a former revolutionary, and Samsara, he's in Jeong, is a VR experience where you can experience various catastrophic events in the last decades. You can really slip into these events. And a final observation that I would like to emphasize are, of course, new tools in animation with machine learning and artificial intelligence technology. So there's one piece in the 3rd row in the middle, you see a crow by Glenn Marshall. This is a project where a dance performance, dancer is transformed via machine learning algorithms to a crow. So now we switch to the first award of distinction. The first award of distinction got Mark Herricker for Absence. This is a 10-minute animation short. We will see a short excerpt. A homeless person is lying on the ground. The passers-by are not interested in this action. They drop some coins. But from one moment to another, journalists are interested in the topic, politicians are discussing the topic, and it becomes a meaningful event. And this was actually the starting point of Herricher's project to deal with news and events, how the journalists are tackling topics that are, so to speak, evergreen topics, how they become important and meaningful and how they disappear immediately. So it's a one-shot, and we are turning around this homeless person, and so we are invited to rethink how the media is treating such topics in our society and our daily lives. The second award of distinction got Yoriko Mitsushiri, a Japanese animator with a big body of work with hand-drawn animation, and she's exploring touch and somatic empathies. in her project, Anxious Body, you can literally feel the touch. You see a person that is touching objects, very sensitive, and you can really feel somatic empathy. Here you see a short insight. Finally, the Golden Nica this year got Rashad Newsom for his work Being. Rashad Newsom is an American artist who is tackling black culture, queer culture since years. He is using a lot of different formats, sculptures, performance, music, dance, but also in his body of work you see a lot of new technology like game engines and machine learning algorithms. Being is a project that was first exhibited in 2019 in Philadelphia. The center point of this project is CG avatar that you see here, and yeah, let's watch a short excerpt of this manifold project.
It do take ash upon the knee. It do take living like you're free. It do take curves. It do take girth. It do take struggle from your birth. It do take flow. It do take fantasy. It do take show. It do take empathy. It do take learn, subtract and plus. It do take know and when to trust. It do take love. It do take black. It do take grips of the proverbial nutsack. It do take strength. It do take will. It do take hope. It do take feels. It do take soul. It do take vibes. It do take compassion. All on your side. It do take pride. It do take worth. It do take stars. It do take earth.
So Being is the main actor in a very manifold exhibition. It's a participatory experience, as you can see here on the images. It was first exhibited a couple of years, and since spring there is a huge exhibition assembly where Being is also part of this, doing a lot of different things. So she's a therapist, she's a coach, but also a person who is performing with the audience or invites the audience to dance, so in reference to voguing, a culture that started in the 70s. So with Being, this CG avatar tackles the topic of black culture and queer culture since many years, and as you can see here, there is a lot of different activities. So she's also quoting statements from Paolo Quire and, for instance, Michel Foucault. She's also generating her own texts, and she has a machine learning responsiveness where she can answer questions and yeah, tackle the topic who we are. I think we will continue with the Interactive Plus. I will hand over the microphone to Martin Honzik.
Thank you, Jürgen. Yes, to the Interactive Plus category. Just as Gerfried briefly mentioned, this plus at the end, this little term at the end, means that means actually 2 points. The one point is the attitude of how we create in the Prix Ars Electronica in general the categories, because the categories are not defined by Ars Electronica. They are always defined by the submitters themselves, and the plus is just a symbol for this openness of this category. On the other side, what happened with this term of what is interactivity? It started actually as a pure technical question, and where we landed now is that actually where we landed back now is the questions of how to position technology or where to position technology between us. Social innovation is also a term strongly related to this interactivity. So what we had there is at the beginning about 900 submissions. And a very diverse and high qualified jury. Jussi Angesleva, Du Yun, Joy from Korea, Rasheen Farhande from US, Jose Carlos Mariategui from Peru, and Irini Papandreou from Greek, based in UK. What what we saw, so to speak, in the category itself, that we had submissions from the entire world, including Latin America. 3 of the projects of the final 15s were coming from that cultural area, sadly, and again, less from Africa. What tendencies could we identify there? So in the 900, there were at the beginning many VR projects. None of it made it into the final 15. We had a lot of NFT projects. Only one, ironically, is representing this very vast topic. But in general, we saw, via the lens of artistical expression, the entire challenges, problematics, obstacles, disasters that we as a global society are currently facing. And yeah, and so this is more or less a mirror. Just to show you some of them, we had some of the very traditional big installations or installations that have been coining the term of this interactive plus category in the last decades, such as Kimchi and Chips, The Second Moon, or the wonderful project Chroma that is currently in the Korean pavilion in the Venice Biennale from Yoon-Jul Kim, a piece that is about the art of engineering, nothing more and nothing less. But we also had, as Jürgen said before, the entire social critical problems. The big discussions about bias, about that technology all of a sudden becomes racist, is discriminating minorities, and such as what do we have here? Black Trans Archive, a wonderful project, a gamificated application that gives you a subjective point of view of how many obstacles you would meet in the all-day lives as a black trans person. Yeah, as I said before, we also had an homage on the NFTs from Masaki Fujihata, a former winner at the Prix Ars Electronica. the project's name is Brave New Commons. There it's about values and NFTs. A very interesting homage on that. As well as we had the Corona time deeply reflected in the submissions. The artists telling us under which circumstances they created their art. And the one outstanding project there I'd like to mention is Technologies of Hope and Fear. Marek Tustinsky and Stephanie Henke had a deep look on 100 pandemic technologies. All right, but that just as a quick overview about the range of projects and the nature of projects, but now to the distinctions. The Eternal Return, Pre-Hispanic Interactions from Christian Avila. Do we have a video there? The sound installation acoustically recreates the time of pre-Hispanic Peru. Ancient musical instruments such as pipes or flutes discovered during archaeological excavations. The local wind of this wonderful installation with some Arduino technology, a Raspberry Pi, made it happen that the instruments that actually nobody knows to use and to play are played by the wind itself. It is a wonderful and very poetic piece of art where you see how meaningful you can use technology, including the natural phenomena around us. And we will see what the Wind of Linz is going to do with that instrument. So to the next. Imagine you are walking through an exhibition and you are pretty bored, and one would offer you a bench to have a little bit of a nap. Perfect Sleep from Tiger Brain from Australia and Sam Levine, US, is a project that appears with an application, with an app and a bench in the exhibition. The work Sleep Study explores sleep deprivation and climate crisis as products of one and the same capitalistic system in which regeneration counts for nothing, just like humans and nature. It tells us in a ironic but based on a very serious set of scientific research, how our sleep is related to the global carbon impact, how if we extend our sleep, we can, so to speak, add to save us here and the planet itself a little bit more. And it is a wonderful art piece out of a vast range of high qualified projects from this art collective. You learn a lot about us in relation to nature and what technology should do for us to link us better in that case. And now to the Golden Nica, Jung Zhu from Taiwan and Nathalie Riviera from Colombia with a biofilm.net resist like bacteria. And I think we have a little video.
By late 2019 and early 2020, border closures and confinement measures abruptly interrupted the protests that were emerging around the world. This paralysis of widespread demonstrations during the pandemic generated the need to rethink and create alternative forms of civil resistance, while radically transforming our narratives, metaphors, and understandings on the living systems and their ways to break through, especially in microorganisms. Bacteria communicate. They have both interspecies and interspecies languages. The messages they send are meant to count. Through quorum sensing, they know when they are the right amount to activate certain behavior. Since as individuals, they are too little to have an influence, being many, they manage to act unanimously and get more strength, resistance, virulence, swarming, bioluminescence, and many others. One of the most amazing collective behaviors is biofilm. When bacteria reach a host place and they know they are just enough to act, they start creating a protecting barrier. Biofilm covers them and lets them hide while they continue multiplying, so observers cannot know how many individuals there are. While they grow inside biofilm as a collective, they become 1,000 times more resistant. And then, when they are enough to act together, they do. But what does this self-organized behavior depend on when we are in action? Distributed communication. Biological peer-to-peer networks built as an independent local channel to communicate and for which the umbrella antenna can extend the range and allow many more individuals to be part of the biofilm.net. Bacterial resistance technologies, however, have been colonized by militarist narratives. Microorganisms are regarded as enemies, and the body is seen as a battlefield, a battle that today, they say, we are losing against the bacterial resistance. Biofilm.net, our open project, praises bacterial resistance in contrast to the reductionist discourse of war. We took one of the Hong Kong movement's icons, the yellow umbrella, and adapted it based on an open resource created by Andrew McNeil to be used as a parabolic Wi-Fi antenna. Other than covering, hiding, and protecting the user, Biofilm.net helps them communicate. The umbrella can act as an antenna for a mini-server, a repeater, or a router, increasing the range while building a nomadic network that accompanies the demonstration in the streets. In the move, the network connects and disconnects organically. Demonstrators can join the virtual biofilm to chat, share files, and store them. We aim at facilitating the connection to alternative networks and at the same time acknowledge the importance of seeking autonomy in our communication technologies. Now, when internet censorship is used as a tool of repression on the part of authoritarian regimes. Self-organizing, collaborating, and communicating in a decentralized and distributed way are some of the wonderful actions of the living to break through. And that is what resist like bacteria means.
Yes, this is the golden Nica of the Interactive Plus category. And for us as an institution, we have to say we are very proud for our judges that made this to the first prize. We have it to do with two young women, two young students from actually two rather different parts of this world that have been developing this project in times of pandemic. They are studying together at the UTK in Berlin, and there they developed that piece. Everybody is talking about values, about the shift of values. Also our festival title is deeply related to these core questions. Interactive art or digital art or artists in general, they always showed what a cultural benefit the right approach to subversion is. And this is a project that comes with this level of subversion that we definitely need to come over these obstacles and also to understand how to bridge these big shifts into the new world, so to speak, that we are facing. It is also a wonderful sample a statement from our jury that they gave to this prize to the young generation whose future it is that we are talking about, and the young generation that should take the earlier the better over their responsibility with their attitude, with their mindset, and with the tools they want to use. We are very proud that we have this project here, and we are currently thinking or planning or trying to plan to implement and install this technology as the public Wi-Fi for the upcoming festival. All right, that was it from my side and for this category, and now I'd like to introduce you Emiko Ogawa. She's the head of Prix Ars Electronica, and she will introduce us the digital communities.
Thank you, Martin. So the digital communities category, so this was established since 2004, and this is the category focuses on the wide ranges of the project, artistic and social project, which aim to the social benefit, to achieve the social benefit. What is the social benefit? This is also the question to us. So that the project submitted in this year's digital communities reflect the diversity of the challenges of the times. So the Honori mentions the 12 selections also, of course, reflect these questions to us. For example, the democratic actions that towards the sexual or gender-based violences, or the fundamental rights for human being, fundamental rights of our digital society as well, or a lot of citizen participation projects such as, for example, Flagdenstadt project, or the cargo bike project, or the Salvage Garden Computer Against COVID project. Also, the archive project, but not only for past, but of course, for future, not only for the current, but for future, like how we archive the violences nowadays, for example, in Lebanon, or how we tell the story of the final days of the rural nuclear power plant stations. So, and also particular this year, we found a lot of projects that acknowledged, especially the artistic project, the artistic journalism, artistic activism project, such as against war, of course, and against the very right wing of politics, or the sustainable future for clean water, or for the outer spaces research. So, the first award of distinction goes to strong hair. So this is the correction of historical hairstyle in Ethiopia, as you see. And these are the collected and archived somehow with the video image of the self-made 360-degree video, the camera itself. And these video scripts, these are stored in the blockchain. So this is the archive project, and this is the archive for future. So the artists and the community traveled the Ethiopia, all over the Ethiopia, to capture this moment and also collect the cultures. In Ethiopia, this hairstyle stands for the tribes, or stand for the social status symbol, or thousand meanings, and these cultures are developed for 1,000 years, and these are now disappearing. But it's not for the archive, as I mentioned, that this is stored in the blockchain. And today I checked the value. One of the video was sold now as a value of the 15 Ethereum, which means like almost 16,000 US dollars. So imagine that if they just store the picture, make the picture and store in the local museum or something, it's completely different meaning. So it means that also the new generations and new people touch to this value with this technology and the artistic mindset itself. The jury said like this, that this project shows how with the use of the NFTs, blockchain technology can potentially help to preserve the cultural heritage, but also empowering local communities. The second award of distinction goes to Families for Freedom. This is a women-led movement of families who demanded the release of all Syrians who are arbitrarily detained or forcibly displaced. There are 250 members across Syria, UK, Germany, Turkey, and Lebanon. And their demands are so simple that they, as families, they demand the immediate release of their relatives who have been unlawfully detained. And this is real, and now they are demanding now and today's. So we human beings easily tend to forget the project around the world. We just tend to focus on only the events which covered in the news media today or yesterday in very emotional way. But so they keep actions call on Syrian regime and all warring sides and all those who may influence them. So the jury said that the jury is particularly inspired by the heart and soul of this campaign. They deserve our respect, support, and admiration. And now we present Golden Nica project of digital community, which goes to the Avatar Robot Cafe Dome. Let's have a look at the video.
まあ嬉しいうちにまあこれからだから多分できないだろうなって諦めてたというか。
迷惑ばっかりかけて人のために何もできていないなっていう気持ちがすごく強かったです。
自分の体を自由に動かすことができない方々はかなり大勢いるし、我々とてね高齢になってくれば立つことも難しくなるかもしれないし、歩くこともできなくなるかもしれない、社会の荷物になってるかも、あるいはもう家族とかが自分の介護とかで苦しんでしまうかもしれないというふうに思うと本当に辛くなってしまう。それをどうやったら解消できるかってことに我々はね人生を使いたいと思っているし、それが我々の役目であると。
こっち側から話している時はあんまりこうその違いというか普通にその場に見えるっていうかいるように感じられますね。
私は所沢から来ました。所沢、埼玉県です。はい。
お仕事する前より随分明るくなったねって言われるようにはなりました。
辛いこともあるけど、そうやって生きてきたことが無駄にならないっていう感じる瞬間っていっぱいあると思うんですよね。でそうやってその誰かの役に立ったり、必要にされたりすごく楽しいですね。
寝たきりの先はあると思ってますね。諦めてしまうとね本当に何もできなくなってしまうかもしれないけれども、テクノロジーとそして先人たちのロールモデルによってね正しい人類のね生き方を作っていけるとそう思ってます。
So as the title said, what you saw, so these robots, so this is not just an autonomous robot or something, but for each robot, behind this robot, there's a human being, certain person, and the robot is just a tool for the communication between human and human. So the artist, Ori Yoshifuji, he's a robot researcher and also the artist. That what he designed was that the robot that communicates users' presence itself. So rather than the mechanical efficiency. So the keyword is that, that how we can bridge isolation or loneliness itself. So the robots are currently operated by the people physical or mental problems that they cannot go out. But this is also possible that, as the artist said, that we can become lonely and isolated after, like, I get accidents or that simply to get old. So we here, in this point, that we see his artistic future vision. So, and also we all knew that after the pandemic, that how the isolation and the loneliness is so severe for human being, that the human being has the social motivation to be together with people and also communicate with people. So for somebody's, this is really fundamental point, and so this project really shows the future possibility of the usage of the robots and also this circulation of the social system itself. The jury especially see this point that this project has a sustainable and future-oriented economic vision. Avatar Robot Cafe is the golden Nica of this year's digital communities. Congratulations. And now it's the category of the U19 Creative Award. Marion Friedl, the producer of Creative Award, will present. Thank you.
Thank you, Emiko.
As you all know, the U19 category is the one category we put out there or where we call for submissions from the younger generation, the next generation, the up to 19-year-olds living in Austria. We're asking them with Create Your World as a slogan that they should send us their projects which they're expressing with their tools and their materials they have to their hand, their topics, the things they are currently pending, or topics they are they have to discuss with themselves or within their art. So the category gets 23 projects, so we have 23 winning projects, and I can present to you today 6 of them. In the background you see the young creatives, the U10 main prize is in the bottom of the pictures. Here you see Emilio Deutsch with he's 9 years old, and he thought about the consumption of energy and how to reduce it in his own neighborhood. So he heard about this mushroom that can make light, and thought about it. It would be so easy to transfer this to his neighborhood. So he made with, it's in German called Knicklichter. I do not know the term, but you do know it. If you click it, you see it in the end of the video, it lights. And he calls his project Bright Future as a suggestion for our own neighborhoods to use natural material to enlighten. The U12 main prize goes to a project by Benjamin Hölzl. He is 12 years old. And he is one of the people or young creative people who has a really vast affinity for technology. And when he is looking for a tool or something to do, he just puts together his tools by himself, by Lego. He's using Lego. Here you see like a robot who is just drawing, assisting him with drawing, or earlier you saw a plotter. And in the end of the video you can even see a really tricky gadget that can create a mandala just by pressing a button. Here is also a saw. And he calls this collection of his tools Trutzeplo, which is in short all the titles of his gadgets. The U14 main prize goes to 2 sisters and their cousin. They together made a reinterpretation of mythological Greek story, which you might know, Orpheus and Eurydice. But they new interpreted it and brought it to the now. So Eurydice flees from Aristaios, and she doesn't get killed by a snake. She gets killed by electric shock just at the moment when she was on her phone and just updated her Instagram status with her new love, which is of course the music star Orpheus. He tries to bring her out. Here in the scene you see the underworld where he tries to bewitch with music and tries to save her. Also really, if you saw it in the title, they also are really up to date, because here is Orpheus, not Orpheus. It's because the female lead is female. It's Orphea. So the title is Orphea and Eurydice. The next thing I want to present to you is an overview of the young professionals projects, the honorary mention in this age category. It's from the age of 14 until 19 years old. The last few years, like previous talkers just said, has taken a lot of us, and also especially for the upcoming generation. They are handling topics, if you just see it in the overview or in the titles represented, because it's also a mirror of the submissions they came. They are handling topics like the relationship to their own body in a performance video called Reinigung, which means purification. It's gender roles, or better, the discrimination of queer people, if you see in the middle of the picture. Project tackling the topic, mourning for a person who is just missing, or a documentary about how fast it can happen to radicalize in a topic on the internet, with also a self-experiment in that, which is really interesting. Have a look into that. And of course, climate change is a big topic, and also they're suggesting with the projects actions to contribute to the protection of the climate or the world in general. And yeah, a really big point was also in the submissions and also represented in the projects. Always a solution or a point of light is art, and expressing oneself with it, and also social contacts. So let's move to the award of distinction. One of them goes to Fabian Wenzelhumer. He thought about the problems, the very current problems of environmental pollution, about the exploitation of natural resources, and the unsolved question, actually, of the future of energy supply. He is very concerned about the approach which politicians or in general public is directing to see nuclear energy as a solution for that problem. So you see in these pictures really, well, it gets you, it's really emotional also, but it also brings you in a really, really forward tact or in a forward beat. To a really catastrophic point, the nuclear catastrophe. 171 is in the title. It has many meanings. One of them is here in Austria, a paragraph which is regulating that the fact that it states that if you deliberately endanger people by nuclear energy or ionizing radiation, it's a criminal offense. The second distinction goes to Holofear, to a group of Viennese 18 years olds, they are together 18 years old. In the documented or in the teaser video, they show their installation, which is referring to the feeling, the abstract feeling of FOMO, fear of missing out. So, as before said, young generation or young people also had a lot of dealt a lot intensely with fear and the psychological pressure. Also, one of them is fear of missing out. And when you see in this picture, it's an installation. When you come closer to it, from far
from far, you see like a really cool party. You want to be part of it. The closer you get, the far away or the more boring it gets. So it's summing up a really abstract feeling that that you can live in this installation or relive in this installation. This group show you what they are feeling. So we go now to the main prize in the category U19 Create Your World. The golden Nica goes to Mary Meyerhofer. She's 19 years old. And in the photo you can see, in fact, a black blanket covering a replica or a leftover of a person, of a human body. On the fabric, there's this poem I want to read to you, or at least the translation of it, because the original is in German. Die schwarze Decke, the black blanket. The black blanket covers a person, but the person is not longer there. The fabric became rigid. It hardened, it stiffened, and as the life beneath dissolved into fog, the person is already gone. Perhaps escaping their thoughts or exploring the bottom of the Danube. The black blanket has soaked up tears and listened to prayers. It has muffled screams, and it covered itself with bloodstains. The black blanket, like the last resting place of a mummy, like a coffin for those still alive. As a final memory to all who were too tired to just go to bed again at the end of another day. The poem was written in a very emotional low point in Mary's life, just about 1 year ago, at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's about depression, and it's not only about any depression, it's about hers. It's her personal experience. She explains in her description to the project that for her depression is like a heavy blanket, a heavy layer, or some like a shell being over her, something foreign that pushes her down. And with the tools of art, she makes this feeling tangible for others also, who do not have this connection to this feeling. You can see in his, the installation is accompanied by these pictures you see below, and it represents just that it's a feeling that you can have in everyday life situations, and it's always with you or not. It can be suddenly there. It's there. She writes, but she also writes in a text describing her project that she's really proud that she's here today, and that she has the opportunity, or that she had also the strength to transform her pain into art. And she hopes that maybe this project reaches out to people and inspires them to talk more about psychosocial health in general.
Thank you very much for the introduction to this really stunning and great projects of the young generation, and a wonderful proof that the existence of art in our life is definitely one of the most important things. And I think this is something that also the artist I'm introducing now as the winner of the Visionary Pioneers of Media Art Award totally would agree. It's Laurie Anderson, and we are very excited to have her this year being the Visionary pioneer of media art. As you might know, this is a program where every 2 years Ars Electronica dedicates one of these golden Nicas, these special awards, to a person who has played an influential and important role in the development of media art even long before Ars Electronica as a festival existed. And of course, Laurie Anderson is a perfect example for this. Just 2 weeks ago, she had her 75th birthday. Her seminal album, Big Science, appeared 40 years ago, actually, on the market. And this is probably the thing that most people know about Laurie Anderson, her success as an avant-garde pop musician and singer that started with this song, Oh Superman, from the album Big Science, and I think it was even #2 or so in the British chart, so really serious pop, but always serious avant-garde. And one of the really great things is that Laurie Anderson also is a perfect example of this complete crossover and interdisciplinary work that is so important and so characteristic for media. She is an author, she is a filmmaker, she is a composer of very different types of music, she's a singer, she's a musician. She invented her own style of multimedia storytelling, which is also one of the things she became famous. She is now working with virtual reality environments as well as composing music for symphony orchestras. And what you see on the images here is one of the really early things from the 1970s, where she kind of invented and constructed this very special instrument for her, the tape bow viola, where she took a magnetic tape from a recording and put it on the bow of the violin, and instead of the strings of the violin, she had the recording head of a recording machine. So when she was playing with this magnetic bow, she was, of course, playing the very short part of recording on this magnetic bow, thus connecting to the very old and important history of magnetic tape machineries, loops and collages from the early years of Musik Konkret and electroacoustic music, but also foreseeing this whole direction of sampling and performing with samples that much later came with digital technology. And of course, I could go on and on and on and on and talk about her wonderful work. The good thing is she will come to Linz. She will be here also performing with the Symphony Orchestra from Brno under Dennis Russell Davis, a new piece about the life of a very important other female person of history, Amelia Earhart, one of the pioneers of aviation. So please join us at the festival for this. Last but not least, again, this very special award for the second time, the Award for Digital Humanity. Initiative that we started last year together with the Austrian Ministry for European and Foreign Affairs. And it's all about to see how art culture can be really an important part, not only in cultural diplomacy, but also in tech diplomacy. In an age where technology is no longer just a tool, but increasingly also creating a very big impact and influence in international relationships. We need to go new directions, and to see how art can help us to find these directions, this is the very reason of this new award. We have an honorary mention this year as well, and not only the big prize, and the honorary mention goes to Marina Črinik, Jovita Pristovček and Sofia Uitz. They produced or created a work as part of an exhibition in the Weltmuseum in Vienna, where they are investigating how digital technology can be used to work with archives from museums, from libraries, to deal with the traumata of our time and to find a way how important events that are traumatizing whole societies can maybe better understood and better communicated with digital databases. The main prize goes to United States, to Sarah Newman, Kasia Chimlinsky and Matthew Taylor for the Data Nutrition Project. This is a really exciting initiative, a kind of cross-industry, cross-university, cross-society project where very ambitious teams of researchers from universities, from companies, but also people who are involved in social activism are joining forces to develop a standard for labeling data that is being used, databases that are being used to train artificial intelligence algorithms. We all know there is this very big bias problem, so what we need is a kind of system that preferably would really be something like an international standard, where comparable to nutrition, where we look at something and immediately we can read what's inside, what is maybe not so nice, what is super inside, so whatever. We can easily read it and therefore really establish a global standard of quality for data that is being used to train artificial intelligence. And we hope that by receiving this prize, we can also strengthen the connection between this US team and many initiatives here in Europe. This, of course, should happen, everything all together in the week of the festival from September 7 to 11, and you will find all the usual elements of how Prix Ars Electronica is actually building up the main core of the festival, with the exhibition of the prize-winning projects, the artist talks, where the prize winners are explaining their works, but also discuss their approach with the audiences. We have the award ceremony, we have the special program for the U19 and the youngsters, we have concerts with the prize winners, and of course the Ars Electronica Animation Festival and the expanded animation conference are also part of this big package of presentations. So whenever you have a chance, please make it to Linz. It will be really exciting with all these wonderful projects. Now we are switching over from the live stream to the Zoom conference. Please bear with us, give us some seconds so that we can change our connections, and we will be soon available for your questions on the Zoom conference. Thank you.